Well, it is a big day in court as closing arguments are set to take place in the case against the former APD sergeant accused of running a red light and killing a young woman. And it will be interesting to hear what will be said, especially after Adam Casals took the stand in his own defense and gave the jury some new information to think about. Matt has more from the Newsplex. Matt?
Elizabeth, in the year and a half since this crash, through all the motions and the trials so far, Adam Casals had never said the other SUV ran a red light, but now he does. Here he is on the stand last Friday. Listen.
I think that the other driver probably should have seen my emergency equipment.
That is what Adam Casals told the court about Ashley Browder's SUV. He says his emergency lights were on because he was chasing a dangerous driver when the crash happened in February of last year. But prosecutors say there is no evidence he was after anyone and that Casals was off duty and simply speeding home down Paseo. The crash killed Ashley Browder and badly hurt her sister Lindsay. And on cross-examination, prosecutors asked Mr. Casals if his speed, going as fast as 65 miles per hour in a 45 zone, was reasonable.
I think that, based from my perspective, it was reasonable.
Do you think Ashley Browder might disagree with you?
I don't know what Ashley Browder would think, sir.
Adam Casals also testified that he was certain there were no other cars in the intersection when he went through it. Casals was fired from APD shortly after being charged with vehicular homicide and reckless driving causing great bodily harm. Elizabeth?
Thanks, Matt. Casals does face up to 9 years behind bars if convicted. Of course, News 13 will be in the courtroom today to bring you those closing arguments and a verdict when it comes in. An Albuquerque police officer is waking up this morning cleared of charges in a deadly police shooting. But APD says the Internal Affairs Office is still looking to see if the officer will face punishment for not turning on his helmet camera.
The gun is facing towards us. Stand by, bang.
The helmet cameras from other officers show what happened the night police shot and killed Parrish Dennison in March of 2013. Officers were called to a music store on Manal after a woman tried to hawk stolen items. According to the district attorney's report, Dennison was in the getaway car and took off running. There were two flashes, one that looks like a gunshot, they say, the other a flashbang. Then Dennison slams into a door and drops. Officer Anthony Sedler pulled the trigger. Now, according to his interview after the shooting, he says Dennison was pointing a gun at officers.
No movement. No movement. If you can recall him, that'd be great. Hands still on the gun.
All right, in the DA's report, Officer Sedler had a helmet camera that he did not activate because the incident happened too quickly. Again, according to the DA report. According to that report, the officer was on scene for at least 30 minutes.
Well, the man Albuquerque police have been after in connection with a murder case is finally behind bars. U.S. Marshals in Arizona arrested Mel Gutierrez this weekend. Investigators say he raped and killed Mary Ellen Gutierrez in a vacant lot near Zuni in Wyoming. They say DNA from there matches a sample police had on file from Mel Gutierrez. Police say he has faced similar charges before, including rape, kidnapping, and assault. Bernalillo County Sheriff's deputies are still trying to figure out what killed a man found in southwest Albuquerque this weekend. Deputies found the body at 118th Street and Bacariri Boulevard southwest about 4 yesterday afternoon. Right now they're calling it a suspicious death, but aren't saying anything else about the investigation.
An embattled New Mexico sheriff will soon be headed to federal prison. On Friday, a federal judge found Rio Arriba County Sheriff Tommy Rodella guilty of several charges, including a civil rights violation. Earlier this year, Rodella got into it with another driver who made a turn in front of the sheriff. The driver, 26-year-old Michael Tafoya, says he didn't know it was the sheriff that was chasing after him. Rodella pulled over and pulled Tafoya out of his car, shoving his badge in his face and pointing a gun at him. Well, yesterday, residents in Espanola say they're glad justice was served in the wake of several cases involving police and excessive force.
I'm glad to see a little bit of justice going the opposite direction, you know, where this abuse of power and abuse of lethal force and whatever is being dealt with and not just, you know, shoved under the rugs.
Sheriff Rodella was convicted on 2 charges: deprivation of civil rights and brandishing a firearm, which carries a mandatory 7-year sentence. He does face up to 10 years for the traffic stop. A sentencing date has not yet been set.
Well, the grades are out for doing business here in New Mexico, and things do not look good. A recent report by Polina Corporate shows the state fell 10 spots from 25th to 35th this year. Some of the areas criticized most by the report include students finishing high school and teacher pay. State Senator Michael Padilla says the state needs to do a better job with early childhood education. He says too many New Mexicans simply are not ready for the jobs we do have here. Also, Senator Padilla wants to grade the state's nearly 400 business incentives and credits to see which ones are really working.
Take the bottom 10% of those incentives, deductions, and credits and eliminate them. Take that money and put it in the top 10% of those programs.
Well, News 13 reached out to the Economic Development Department, hoping to have some specific questions answered in regards to this report, such as what kind of an effect the Tesla decision may have had and what's being done in terms of education here. In a statement, the state acknowledges there is room to improve and that Governor Susana Martinez is making, quote, strides in education. New Mexico also took hits when it comes to sales tax receipts, crime rate, and long-term budgeting. On the bright side, though, the state got A's in college student funding, property taxes, and transportation